Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who is back with some special coverage on a busy Big Brother weekend. I am Rob Cesternino, very excited for today's podcast because we have some special coverage here. This is not an episode recap. We are very fortunate to have a standout from this season of the show and a person that we wanted to spend even more time with. Please welcome to the show, Ovi is here. Ovi, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Yes, very excited. Ovi Kabir is here to talk with us and talk about his experience in the Big Brother house. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of everything that's going on now. Ovi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I've always been a fan of y'all, so it's super surreal being on here and actually getting to talk to y'all. I wish I was talking to you guys after September. However, the silver lining is.
Yes. Okay. Here is the winner of Big Brother 21 in
Yes.
in some dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then with us, a man who is running on fumes, but still functioning at a higher level than most of us. Here is Taran Armstrong. Taran, how are you?
I'm good. I'm alive. I've recovered from this morning.
Yeah.
Everything's all right.
Yes. Okay. People were tired shaming Taran in the chat this morning. We don't
They
appreciate
were.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I needed Ovi to come in and tell people that they were being
Ovi,
mean.
can you defend Taran from the people in the chat that were saying that he looked too tired after such a long night of feeds?
Taran looks amazing right now, especially in front of me on this webcam right here. So y'all should just give Taran a break. He's went through the whole night. That was tough. I was keeping up with it a little bit too, and so it was an exciting night, that's for sure.
Yeah, very exciting night, and even more exciting day to have Ovi here with us to talk about everything that's going on. We are going to take your questions here with Ovi. If you have got questions that you've been dying to know about Ovi, about what he thinks about the house since he's gotten to catch up with everything, hashtag RHAP. We'll go ahead and get those into the show and have a lot of fun today with Ovi. All right, Ovi, give us catch us up on you and what your life has been like since you left the house.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I mean, I've always been a fan of the show, and so leaving the house when I left it was disappointing for me. And so I was thinking that, damn, I really wish I could have gone farther. I really want to do this, but coming out, I've gotten so much love and support from a lot of fans, which has been super awesome. I didn't expect that whatsoever. So it's been really easy to kind of go back into real life. And I mean, honestly, nothing much has changed for me. I mean, I'm still the same me. I haven't really changed up at all. I'm still seeing my friends, spending time with my dog, seeing Hannah, my girlfriend, and my family. And it's chilling right now. So I was planning to be gone until September. So I ran out the lease on my apartment, signed that off. So now I'm apartment shopping again right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just living life pretty good. I'm trying to keep up a little bit with the show. But yeah. Well, full steam ahead.
How much have you been talking with the other BB21 house guests that are out of the house?
Yeah, we kind of communicate here and there. I think most of us have been kind of taking time to ourselves right now.
Mm-hmm.
David and I have talked back and forth a little bit because we're so close. He's like 2.5 hours away from me. And so I'm going to reach out to the rest of the house that's coming soon. We're all going to be, I don't know if all of us, but many of us are going to be at the Hearts of Reality event coming up too.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably chat a little more
next
there.
weekend.
Yeah. Yep. This August 8th. So
yeah. It's coming out. And how surreal is it to then be, you were in this house, you were away from everything, and now you are out of the house and able to see everything that's been going on in this season?
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a mixed bag of feelings because at the same time, it's super cool that you get to be part of it. I got the #1 fan experience. I was literally on the sidelines watching or in the game. And now that you're out, you have a different perspective of looking at those people. But you want to be in there. I'm a competitor first. And so I wish I was still in the game, playing it, trying to make moves there. But at the same time, you can't always keep regretting everything. And so I'm trying to enjoy it for what I can. But yeah, it's tough. Like when they said, Juliet just said, y'all have faith Jerry. Part of me is like, ooh, like, wish I was in there. But you know what? They're playing the game. Some of them are playing better than others, and some are being a little nicer than others. So
yeah.
I get to now. I don't have any stress on me. I just get to watch it and be a fan again.
Yeah. So, in terms of what you've seen, have you watched the episodes? Have you looked at any of the live feeds at all yet?
Yeah, I haven't seen I've been watching the live feeds when it's live, but I've seen a lot of clips now as well as past clips as well as been watching through the episodes. I didn't kind of skim through them, having it's kind of tough watching yourself make dumb moves. You're like, ugh. But I'm pretty up to date.
Okay,
Sure.
All right. Taran, jump in as well. I don't want to dominate the whole conversation, but Ovi, can you then go back to, I guess, from when you left the house to Cliff's HOH? Can you give us your thoughts on how your tight ally Cliff handled that whole situation of the week where he got the HOH and then also went on to then have to make that decision with the veto renom?
Yeah. So okay. Thursday night, we're basically go to the camp, come back. We're going for the competition. Cliff is blindsided. I'm blindsided at the same time too that he's voted out, and so now we have to compete against one another. And he just demolished that competition. Yeah. We already talked about prior that he would be really good at these type of competitions. He's worked with his hands his whole life, and he said that if there's one competition I can hand choose, it would be balanced competitions like this. And so knowing that was a competition he's going against it, I'm like, damn, this is gonna be not an easy one to beat. And so that happened. I was really disappointed not being able to come there. But at the same time, I'm happy Cliff's still in the game. So it's like, it kind of evens out, but not, I wish I was still in there. And so then I found out the next morning, that Cliff wins HOH. It was actually through when we were talking. And and I was ecstatic. I was super pumped because I'm like, Nicole will be safe. He'll be safe. And he won't go against any of the outsiders. And so I wasn't sure how he would pull the play. I was thinking he would actually put Jack and Christy up. I didn't think he would put up Jack and Jackson. And because I thought it would just be an easy excuse for him because they both put him up. So that was something he was going to do. But he ended up putting Jack and Jackson, which, I thought that was still a good move because that's going to somehow change up the hierarchy that we see up there because we know these two people are up there and we need to figure it out. And then Jack wins the veto. And then I was hoping Cliff was kind of bluffing his way through, giving his word, but maybe that we've talked about that. If you got to make a move, you got to make a move. But then I heard him say that I'm not going to break my word this early in the game. But I was thinking, Cliff, no, he's giving them the Texas speech. He's going to change it up. And I was really hoping he would at least the veto happen. And so I'm hoping that he would put up Tommy or somebody, or at least have Christy flush the power. He did not do that. And he bought himself 2 weeks of safety. That was kind of the plan. But at the same time, within the Big Brother house, you can write a check and you can bounce at the same time. So no deals you make for 2 weeks of safety you should really count on. So it was a little frustrating because, I love Cliff. Cliff was a good friend of mine in there, but I was really hoping he would change the power structure in there. And sending Bella home, even though she really wasn't all for his game in the past, it doesn't help at all at that moment because that's another number that's you're doing losing from your side. But it's, hindsight's 2020. We get tunnel vision, especially if people are watching me in the game wondering, Ovi, why are you talking to so-and-so? We get tunnel vision in that house. And so I think he might have had a little tunnel vision. Who knows what's going to happen down the line? But I really do wish he could have gotten one of those out. Some from the 6 shooters.
If you were in that position that Cliff was in, would you have gone back and double-crossed Christy and made a nomination from the 6 after she didn't use the power?
For sure. And again, I always said that, I don't want to come out of this game and have, rose-tinted glasses and be say, I'm going to do that move because it's a great move, and then be in that house. I'll give a lot of credit to David. David and I had a lot of conversations at Camp Comeback where he really helped me. We worked through dissecting the power structure, and we realized that we need to get Jack home because he's not trying to help us at all. And the only way to get Jack to go home is you need him to be next to Tommy or Christy because no one's going to vote those two out. So I would have, if I was in the game or if I was Cliff or I was next to Cliff, I would try to really push on. We need to put someone from the 6 shooters there and try to get somebody who's really trying to bully their way through the game.
Okay.
So
yeah, a lot of A lot of people were watching you play, especially with Jack, and they saw that you thought you were working with him for a while, and a lot of people were wondering how willing you were to turn on him if the time came before you ended up talking to David.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to ever like try to be like change the history retrospectively. So like right now, I'd like to say that yes, definitely that I was going to be, in my mind, to anybody I had to work with, I would turn against, because everyone voted me out. I had no allegiance. The only two people that felt really strong allegiance to were Cliff and Nicole, because they really had my back. I knew about that. But the rest of the people, especially once I was voted out, I figured that I got the runaround from Tommy and Jack. Nicole and I talked about that. And so I had to play very nice while I was in the house at that moment, because there was no reason for me to stir the pot. And I can take a lot in life. And so I knew whatever they throw at me, if they're being mean, they're doing this and that, I'm just going to keep my head down and go forward. And then when I have the power, I was going to make a big move, because the issue is that my game was already at the bottom of the bottom totem pole. Actually, probably in Big Brother history, there's nobody that really voted out staying in the house. So I was really the bottomest of the totem pole. So if I didn't make a big move, if I didn't come back and do something with the chance I get there, it'd be kind of a waste. And especially as a fan, giving a second chance to get back in the game, I would want to do something. So I promised I would never take out somebody from the outsiders. And then Nick and Bella, I didn't really have the closest relationship within the house, but I realized that after the Cliff blindside for sure, they were not people, and even previous to that, they were people that it wouldn't be any point targeting. Sorry, did that answer your question, Taran?
No, yeah, I mean, I think that because I saw you talking about Jack and saying that you felt like you had to work with him at points, but that you were willing to turn on him. And I felt like there were a lot of people that doubted the veracity of those statements.
Yeah. So yeah, and I would have. Here's the thing: is Jack was not very nice to me when in the house, and he was not nice to other people in there. And we can get into that down the line. But I knew my role at that point in the game was that I had to play this little brother, or this person that is working with these people. And when I had a chance, I would turn on them, because at the end of the day, I want to win the game. And I wasn't playing the game for anybody else to win. Even that Hail Mary that I threw first week, because I knew I was probably going home. I told them about the power. I would not be using the power for them next week. I mean, I made as many promises I would have to do to try to convince them. But I told myself that I'll worry about those promises, and if I have to break them down the line, that's fine. But right now, I need to make sure that I stay in the game at that point. So I knew Jack for about 30 days. And so 30 days is not long enough whatsoever to throw away $500K for somebody, especially someone like Jack.
Mm-hmm. So going back to Cliff and the move that he made, now that we've seen a week plus of this all playing out, how do you think that this is all working for Cliff?
You know what? Honestly, it's working out in a way that since Jessica won the HOH, and I'm crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, that she does not decide to put anybody on the outside on the block, which I'm worried about sometimes. But if he has allowed himself to go through the game now with Nicole and him without maybe not being a target, and people are going to start shooting at each other. So if Nicole and Cliff can stay together, add Jessica to that number, and then maybe bring a wavy cat in there, that's 4 people that I can kind of just move around, and they become a block while these other 2 people are throwing shots at each other. So in hindsight, that move might have been the best move. It's hard to say down the line. I mean, I wish Jack would have been taken out, but who would have known that if Jack and Jackson would turn against each other?
Okay. Okay, well, since you brought up the Jessica HOH, then, on the outside, a lot of us, myself included, had been really sleeping on Jessica as a player. She came in, she wanted to go for the camp director. She got pushed back on that. She wanted to get the Black Widows going. That blew up right away. And then since then, she sort of curled up in a ball in the fetal position and didn't want to do anything in the game. But now here she is. HOH, is it possible that there is some game in her that has now been woken up?
Oh, for sure. And of course, I'm in the camp that wondering how is just going to do these certain moves. But at the same time, a lot of people sleep through the first half of the game, and that was kind of my goal. I really wanted to sleep through the first half of the game.
Not a bad strategy.
Yeah, and see, Casey, people didn't think of her as much of a threat whatsoever, and she kind of coasted by, maybe not the same way as Jessica, but Jessica knew her role within the game in the house too. Because when you have these huge, big personalities, and you're seeing people of color and these people, in different backgrounds being targeted one after one after one, she knows she's probably on a chopping block there too. So she did whatever she had to do to kind of keep herself safe. And Jessica is not a dumb woman at all, in the sense that when we're playing competition, she came second to Jack's competition in Big Brother Fireworks Spectacular. She was on the 7th round and lost by 1 question to him. And in this one, she won. So she knows these memory competitions pretty well. And so I'm hoping, and we'll be able to see after this week. So if she's been biding her time to make that move, and if she actually does make the move, but if she does, instead maybe put like Nick and Cliff up there, then we'll be like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my big concern when I found out the news last night that she was gonna, this was gonna be like a, Nick and somebody else from outside of the power to not rock the boat. But, it was a crazy day, as Taran could tell you, in the Big Brother house last night. What was it like for you as somebody who was sort of like on the business end of this power structure in the house to see it start to crumble?
It's a good feeling to see it crumble, in the sense that, like, we don't know, as a player, it's super annoying to feel that like people are making personal moves rather than game moves and trying to do whatever you could to strategize with some people, but they had their mind set. And so trying to change that was super hard, thinking that why wouldn't they want to keep somebody like me at this point in the game who's not going to hurt their game whatsoever, and instead just take me out a number that could be used for them. And they were so clean to the 6 people that they didn't want to see around that. And so some people right now are probably regretting different decisions they made in the past, because they realize, like Mickey and Holly probably look around and think, wow, we don't have any allies around us, because we voted out people who might have not really went at us. Additionally, now we have the people we thought we were working at against us. And as a fan right now, it's cool to see. No one wants to see a steamroll happen. You want to see both sides, take a shot at each other. And that's like, as a fan and knowing how I played the game, it's upsetting, because I wanted to be able to take a shot at us. Add a little entertainment. That's why we're on the show. We're there to play a game, but at the same time, viewers are watching us to bring something to the game.
That's right.
And so, it's cool to have people be able to take a shot. I'd like to see some crumbling there too. I think it's karma for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it something that you noticed? Because when we were introduced to the camp comeback twist, obviously it was for me, it was bittersweet, because it was like, oh, we're not going to lose Ovi in the house. But at the same time, I feel like this really cements the power structure, because it disincentivizes people from betraying their alliances, because they're still going to be in the house and they have to worry about them outing all of this information. And we essentially got from Nick that he probably would have made a move, or at least he says so, had camp comeback not been in place the following week after your eviction. Is that something that you were cognizant of at the time, or is it something that you've thought of after the fact?
Yeah, I realized, as it's going, it's super cool that I was like, I have a second chance. I'm still in the game. But I mean, if you see, like, let's take a step back and look at our own country places. When there is times of struggle within our country, the best thing to bring people together, or when president's rating is the highest, is during wartime, because you have a common enemy. When Camp Comeback came by, it unified this group of people, because instead of shooting at ourselves, let's just kind of focus and isolate Camp Comebackers, because they become a common enemy. And so that through us, they were able to have people to talk bad about, have them feel like they're playing a great game, because these people are stuck in Camp Comeback. There was so many elements to it. So though I was super happy that we were still in the game, I understood that by being in the game, it disincentivized anybody from making a move against one another, because they would be living in the same house with them. So like you said, yeah, I think, and Nick, I'm not sure what he would have exactly done. I don't really think he would have taken the shot there, because he did feel like he was part of that group, like tied in, and this is somebody who can say the same thing, who felt the same way on day 6 when he made it, try to make an alliance with the group who were already in the 8. So I think Nick thought he was a little closer than he really was. And I think even now, I think Nick is more apt to try to work his way back into this broken 6 and work with Cliff, Nicole, and and I think that's just kind of Nick's personality.
Yeah. I mean, something that was talked about was sort of comparing this to the Stanford prison experiment, where, you guys were put in uniforms, you were put in a room that sucked, and, worse conditions than, and right away, there was a rule made that people weren't allowed to talk to you. And it felt like the behavior, the cliquey sort of behavior that already existed, seemed to be getting worse and worse. worse with this sort of thing. How do you feel about all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you took away the word camp comeback out there and just put camps, like if you just took away the title, you might think it's something else, you know? It was disheartening. And here's the thing, I'll say that it wasn't the hardest part weren't the restrictions the game put on us. Because, yeah, like it was a place, it sucked to stay in there. It was cold. We had to wear these, uniforms, that we still got another chance at the game. I'll take that any day over anything else. It was the social restrictions the other players put on us and the way they started to treat us that was the hardest part. We by far could not play any type of game. It was like, a censorship that Jack had to put on us. And I think he put that censorship because he was worried that now that he's in power, that any information that he knew that he gave me the runaround, and he doesn't want that information to come back to me. And additionally, it's just easier to separate us. So it's frustrating because you didn't feel like you could play your game. And even though I was given a second chance, there were a lot of hurdles for not just myself, but David, Kemi, Kemi following because she came in the next week. But while you're in camp comeback, it sucks because of the social restrictions people put on us. And here's the thing I was thinking to myself is that whoever is coming back from camp, there's no reason on a game standpoint to treat us in such a horrible way because whoever is coming back from camp comeback is a potential ally.
Right.
But why would you treat us from a game standpoint lesser than any other house guest? That doesn't, in my head at least, doesn't make sense because from a strategy sense, you don't want whoever comes back to be targeting you. And you saw right happen with Cliff, that he's coming back and targeting some of these people. So,
Ovi, how do you think it would have gone if it would have been either you or David or Kemi who came back into the game as somebody who was in camp comeback but then came back into the game as a player? The way that it worked out, that Cliff got voted out and then went immediately back into the game without having to go through the camp comeback experience. Do you think that you guys would have still carried that stigma as players if you were returned to the game?
It's tough because I think there were some implicit biases at play for the reasons that we were voted out in certain ways. And that's not to say take no fault for my game moves, but I think there were other biases that certain players had against us. So I don't know if those would have gone away the moment we actually are back in the game, even though it said we can't wait to play a game with you and talk game with you, But I think that was more of a front. So I think some people would have been very hesitant to work with us, but I think there might have been some people that would have been apt to maybe work with us because now they know camp comeback is nothing there. They know where the lines are kind of at. So my position, if I was back in the game, David was back in the game, Kemi's back in, we're still very likely to be put up on the block right away. It's not that. But I think the HOH competition was something that I had a good chance of potentially winning. Me and Cliff went through all our days and knew all the competitions and we knew all of that. And all the answers to that, we marked it as Bible the day beforehand so we can memorize every single thing like that. And I think David and Kemi, people would be worried about them too, the same way I because we would almost be all going for this power structure of people because we have nothing to lose. So I think people would be worried about that. So I think if Cliff didn't win this HOH when coming back, he would have been a target to put up too. But it's tough to say because that 6 was still strong by that time. There wasn't as much of a ripple in there. But maybe we could have brought, my plan would have been to work with Nick, Sam, Bella, Cliff, Nicole, Kat, and then bring Jessica right there. And that's more people than that 6 going there. And I think Nick, Bella, and Sam would be very apt to work on that because they were just blindsided. So they realized they're smart people, in that sense, down on a game level. They might not like me the most. They might not like David or Kemi. But like right now, if you want to keep winning this game, you might need to work with people you don't like the most.
Yeah, you mentioned the biases. That's something that I think that we noticed fairly quickly when the show started, was that it seemed like there were these biases did exist and they were influencing the big group getting together and who was left on the outside and who was being targeted. Is how aware of that were you in the house at the time, and how much of it have you sort of come to think about after the fact?
Yeah, there's levels to it, in the sense that it's going on in the house, but you don't know the things being said behind the closed doors. It's a rapid level, and it's really disappointing and unfortunate. Here's the thing, Taran, is that like in all my life, I prided myself going to this game that I have a strong social game because in my life I've never, and that's not to be like big ego Ovi, but in my life I've never had an issue relating to people, getting to know people, and most of the time I think I'm a pretty friendly guy, which people wouldn't get annoyed about, and that's just my take on me. Some people might have a different thing. So going into the house, I was finding there were certain barriers for us to like work with things. And I was confused at the same time, thinking that maybe is there something wrong with me? Am I like a weirder person than I am, which there's nothing wrong with, but why am I having an issue working with some of these people? So then you kind of start to see there's reasons why they might be saying certain things about Ovi, and then the person does something completely different, and they're not saying about the, it's, and the same thing when David came back, the comments people made about him when he came back right on day 1 or day 15 right there, and certain comments made about him. We don't know his character. You don't know about him. So how can you say that he would be doing certain things? And then also then you start hearing things about Kemi. So within the house, we realized that there were these biases at play. For me, I didn't want to, at first, in the first 3-4 days, I didn't want to think that there's biases at play. And I'm thinking maybe there's something I can change up for my game into. Maybe I'm going, I'm just not talking enough and it's chilling. Because my plan going into game was, because my whole life I've always been kind of like the leader, trying to take the hold, work with people, and make sure things work. But I said, when I go in this house, I want to play a quieter game, stay on the back, let other people make some moves and make social connections. Obviously, that didn't work. But I think that as day 15, I'm voted out, and then you start seeing the whole camp comeback aspect, seeing how people treat us. You understand that, I think some people might have some other, they have some prejudices potentially, and there's other people in this house that you understand. Like, some people feel very uncomfortable talking about certain topics, and there's a reason why they feel uncomfortable talking about those topics. And moreover, sorry, I'll end this answer real quickly. But then after leaving the house also, you have another perspective, seeing every single thing these people said, which, here's the thing, is I would never, ever be bitter against somebody for making a game move, for there was a plan to backdoor Ovi, put the veto, hats off to them. However, I think some of these game moves were really based on implicit biases, which that really makes me upset, because not just against me, but also against Kemi, also against David. So that's unfortunate. It's sad to see that in 2019, you hope a group of people who come into a house to play on a national level would not be letting their own biases get in play, would play a game pure on strategy and for the 500K. But I think, and I think the viewers can see that too, is that wasn't exactly what happened.
Ovi, I'm hoping that, when we come away from this, BB21 can be an education in some way, that there can be, I'm an optimist that there can be some good that comes away from this. Do you feel like is an implicit bias that somebody comes into the house where, hey, this person is different than me, I don't get along with them, and then sort of like you chalk it up to different things? Is that different than racism, or is it just different words for the same thing?
I think there's different. So racism can be in different forms of it. You can have subconscious racism, where you don't understand that you're playing into or you're believing a stereotype of a person before you met them. And there can be straight blatant racism, where you make comments about somebody's ethnicity, their race, that is just disparaging. So I think one thing we saw a lot of I'll call it, we saw some blatant racism within this in this house behind closed doors. People were saying comments. We don't sugarcoat it. When Jack said that rice pudding comment, that is a racist comment, and there's no way to flip that in another way. We should know better than that, and we do know better than that. And the house guests do. They know what it means, and if them trying to justify for other means, that's just maybe playing dumb. However, there are implicit biases where you target somebody who might be more threatening because nothing they did, but maybe you have a stereotype in your mind where that person, their color has been stereotyped to be more threatening, or Ovi is a genius, super genius, smart guy, who is super threatening. Here's the thing, y'all. I am really not that smart. I took political science because it's one of the easiest majors for me to get through. I'm not saying I'm a dumb guy, but my friends are a lot smarter, and I don't find myself being the smartest. So maybe in the house I was smarter than some, but I think that's more saying basis on the house rather than my own intellect. Sorry, back to your question, is that I think that implicit biases were really at play in the beginning, and then we start to see some people's true colors really come out, because there's no reason that some house guests, the way they spoke to Kemi, they would speak the same way to potentially a white woman or a man either. So there's not just racism at play, there's misogyny. And I say implicit biases because I think that covers the whole thing. But yeah, I think all of that was at play. But to your point, that I do hope, and I think David's talked about this in some of his interviews, that for some of the house guests, it can be a learning tool when they come out. And here's the thing is, we should not be like we need to forgive the house guests right now. We need to give them time to come out and then actually hold them accountable to what they say until they can say things, down the line. Because if we just give them a pass right now, they haven't shown anything of remorse of the actions they've taken. There needs to be a time for that. So I think we need to hold people accountable for the things they say. And again, racism, implicit biases, bigotry, prejudice, that's all a lot of times stems through ignorance rather than hatred.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on too long.
No, that was incredible. So yeah, this is a great point that you're making. So like when a Jack or Jackson come out of this house and we have the opportunity to ask them questions about their time in the game, what is the questions that we should be asking them? Because I think that there is a lot of people that want when they come out of the house, hey, why are you a racist? What is why did you make all these racially charged statements? And I'm sure those guys are going to be like, no. This was a misunderstanding. That wasn't. This was that was taken out of context, and then we don't get anywhere.
Exactly. That's a tough one, and you guys have a tough job ahead of you. Y'all already do a good job with the interviewing and everything. I don't pretend to be a master at that, but I think it's confronting, maybe talking to people and using quotes for what they literally said. And talking about that, I always think about that. My favorite interview Julie had with Erin from Big Brother 15, where she came out and she's like, "You said that." She's like, "No, I didn't." Well, you know what? Let's roll the tape. And I'm not saying that y'all need to do that, but I also think talking about their game, yes, because it is a game show in the sense that we want to know about the game moves they made, and I can separate game moves from personal. At least I like to think about that. So knowing about their game, but also saying that did you have to operate in such a way to get your game further, and this is not for me to excuse any bullying, intimidation, any racism at all, but in my head sometimes I think that if there's only one way to operate to move your game forward for a game of 500K, then go for it. But I think most of the moves that they took when it was cemented in implicit biases were not game moves, and they did not help their game go forward whatsoever, but they were just their own personal decisions. So I think asking that, was this their game plan to try to bully, to intimidate people, or was that something just happened? You guys will figure out the questions and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, this has been like a big topic, and I know that it was something that I think CBS was even addressing just yesterday about this being an issue where these biases are showing up in the house, and that the image of you, Kemi, and David sitting on the stage with Julie has really made the rounds, and people are talking about, like, is this a problem for Big Brother, for CBS? Like, how do they fix it? Do you have any opinions on that?
It's tough because here's the thing. No one goes into an interview and says, hey, I hate so-and-so, So and I think CBS has said that, we don't know how people will interact within the house. But also, some of these people have had, and this is not for me to say that no one can change down the line, but some of these people have had DUIs in their records, have other cases in their records too. So those seems to be indicative to see how somebody might operate within that house like that, especially if somebody's coming off a certain environment, or if they're taking anything and they're coming straight into an environment where there's 16 house guests, they're probably going to get more than drama. But I think more than ever that the Big Brother house has always been kind of a reflection of our country as a whole. We have a lot of race issues right now are in our own country, in our own streets, within our own communities. We look at that TV and say, that is horrible. How could that happen? But at the same time, we have a lot of students who are in the same classrooms of people of color who are experiencing the exact same things. We have people who are in your communities who are experiencing the same things. So I think we need to be first one better as people outside of the game and try to look after one another. But within the game, it's tough. I think you never know what's going to happen until you get 16 people together. And I don't know if you want the ratio of people of color to be more versus that. Because, if you just look at it from like a eye view lens, you could say the cast is pretty diverse in saying that we had, five people of color, two people of different sexualities. From the bookmark, checkmark thing, someone can say like, oh, this is a very diverse cast. It's tough. I look at Big Brother Canada and see how they did. They had issues as well too, I think, in some ways. But at the same time, they're a very diverse cast. And the way people treated, let's say, Kyra, and they used their pronouns in a correct way throughout the season. And you see that level of respect given to somebody who hasn't been on the national level at all. So I don't know, maybe is it Americans versus Canadians? Canadians are a lot nicer than us or respectful, or maybe it's the people who come on the show and we have to have a better eye on that. I don't know the answer for it, but I think this season will definitely be a lesson to future house guests and maybe people making decisions down the line for it.
Yeah, I do think that the casting could do a better job in terms of the diversity that they're having in the cast, because I do feel like, you have this group of the six that has, basically like a shared ethnicity. And I do think that sort of, that was the group that was the tightest. And I think it can get a little more tribal in terms of especially the people that are the outsiders. And I think that if you were able to, mix up the casting even more, I think that would help there be, less of a chance that type of mindset would really, end up developing in the house.
Yeah. And then the one thing I do want to say really quickly to that point, and it's not just the diversity within the cast of just race, religion, it's also, geographical diversity, where we have a lot of people congregated in specific cities and some people who have, pre-game, I would almost say alliances, because the closeness of that. And so that makes it so difficult as people of color and minorities on the show are already different than a majority of the people on there. And now when there's prior connections with other people, how are we able to break through that? That's very difficult. Somebody who has a bond of 7 years together, like Tommy and Christy from way before, is a bond that will supersede any bond made within the house.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I didn't, I don't think we got into that in our interview from the first time through. But when you found out that Tommy and Christy have this relationship outside of the game, what was your reaction?
Super disappointing, honestly, because, I think a lot of people relay a lot of things to Tommy and you feel like you can trust him, but it wasn't under the assumption on day 2 that he would be taking all those things right back to Christy, because that connection is so strong that Tommy will now cover up for Christy. And I think we saw this even last night, that he will try to pull out some fires, not because of within his gang allegiance to Christy, but they've had such a long allegiance to him. And here's the thing: if there is a twist based on people being together like that, to have it, that's a different story, and it's the game throwing at it. But I just don't feel like this was kind of a twist. And we have Kat and Holly who've already talked to each other before; they've met each other before. Mm-hmm. I know people have thought that maybe Mickey and I knew each other before, but I can tell y'all we never met one another. Our university is 29,000 plus students. It's a huge campus. And
you guys weren't super tight. You weren't hanging out at those frat parties with Mickey.
No, we have 21 fraternities too. We have 21 fraternities. We have 4,000 students within Greek life. It's like there's a lot of people. And here's the thing: is that you probably are spending your time with your fraternity. He's spending time with his fraternity, and his fraternity had issues, and they were gone by the time I found my fraternity.
What?
So
that's not the Jackson that I know.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. We've seen time and time again on this season that a lot of the action has been driven by the fact that Tommy and Christy know each other, that Kat and Holly know each other. I mean, even just this past week when we saw Christy's game spiraling, she had Tommy there to pull it out and save it. And Kat has consistently been one of the main reasons why the outsiders have never been able to bond together, is because she's always been secretly working with Holly. And so it really has had a massive impact on the game here. And I do think it seems very unfair to me that they have that massive advantage and none of you did.
Yeah, it's a large advantage. And here's the thing: is I'm not going to discredit them in the game, because they have to play with the hands they were thrown to them. So they're just playing the game right now on that sense, that take advantage of that allegiance. If it was made for something, I would take advantage of that total. If Mickey and I knew each other before that, I would take advantage. I just don't think it's fair to the other castmates, especially we see that allegiance, that 4 of those 6 people knew each other already, essentially, or bits and pieces. That's how that block was made so strong in the beginning, and there was really no breaching that from my viewpoint at this moment. But, who knows? Maybe if I was a better game player and if I was, the Dan Giesling or somebody else in there, maybe I could have figured something out. But I think our back was against the wall, but even the moment we walked in that house.
Ovi, going back to last night, we almost had this flip where Kat was going to go home instead of Sam. Did you have a horse in this race? Were you rooting one way or the other on Kat versus Sam?
It's tough. I mean, I guess short answer, I didn't have much of a horse in the race either way. I didn't mind at all because, Sam, on the game level, I think he made some errors in the sense that, he was the one who put why don't we get Ovi when there's really no point of getting me out, Sam, because I would have worked with you down the line. And then he won a second veto that he didn't need to and took away somebody, So I think he put, and I warned Sam, I was telling Sam that I think you're becoming a target too. And we had those conversations that I was like, this was when I was Camp Comeback. I think they're going to come after you eventually. I think you need to be smarter and try to not place her in competitions and lose them if you can. But he was so gung-ho about winning it because I don't think he expected him to play that hard, and he did it. Kat is somebody that, she's entertaining in the house too. And even when I was in Camp Comeback, I know Kat said things behind my back and other people that weren't good things you should say whatsoever. But at the same time, she did not try to isolate me. We had conversations and things like that. So, those people were one of the two people that I liked a lot more than some others. So it was a lose-lose kind of for me because I really wanted someone from the 6 shooters to go. But I was excited for a flip. I was excited for a flip. I was just hoping Nicole and Cliff would be on the right side of the flip. I didn't want Christy to get her way. That was kind of my thing. Whatever Christy wants, I don't want her right now.
So that it's great hearing you bring up everybody. I know we've touched on Jack and Jackson specifically, but could we go through some other people and then just give us your feelings on these other players that are still in the game?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. What about Christy? Do you feel like she's been very tight with Jack throughout the game? Do you feel like is she somebody who that we should have any issue with?
But is personal issue or game issue?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to identify, who's part of the problem, who's getting lumped in, who's maybe getting a bad rap in terms of when we talk about the whole cast and having different issues.
Here's the thing. I'll be honest. I think Christy makes a lot of remarks that are not just not pleasant, but just not right at all. I think she was calling Sam literally last night that he's a pervert, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but from a pervert and saying something about his wife. When Sam, if anybody in the house, has been one of the more respectful to any of the women within there, he's made, from my understanding. So she makes these comments when she's upset at people, and she makes these irrational sometimes decisions. The issue is that she has a lot of times, and not to say that she isn't playing a good game, because for some odd reason, people are just not privy to it, I think, and I get that too sometimes, but she has Tommy in her back trying to clean up any issues she's made. So on a game level, I think Christy's playing one of the stronger games aligned with Tommy. I think Tommy's playing one of the strongest games right now in that house. That's just my opinion. But on a personal level, I think Christy has made a lot of comments that aren't right, are probably stemmed into some prejudice, as well as additionally, I think she has reinforced the negative behavior that was seen against Kemi, myself, and Dave.
Okay.
So.
What about Tommy?
Tommy, sorry, I was looking at it. Tommy, so Tommy has this uncanny ability to make anyone feel at home. When you're around Tommy, he can make you feel like he's your best friend. It's unfortunate. I think, I don't think Tommy has been any one of the people who've been pushing a lot of these negative things, but also I think he's in his head trying to justify some of the behavior by some other castmates, which I honestly don't think Tommy would do outside the house. The conversations that I've had, with Tommy, that we shared a lot of same values, and coming from in a region where there is a lot of people who are stemmed in what racism has prejudice. Tommy feels a lot of the same way about Staten Island, but he wants to give them a better rep than they're giving. He's about representing Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's unfortunate that he's in this group of people, and it's kind of the bystander effect, that he's not saying anything when these behaviors are coming out because he doesn't want to hurt his own game. But I do wish Tommy has that influence. I wish he would have stood up and said something. When they were treating Nicole in the way they were, and he said, "Hey, y'all, I don't think we're going to do that." Because if that's coming from me, as you saw, it came from me. It didn't do anything. It came from anybody else. I think Tommy said something at that moment. They would have been like, "Okay, maybe we are being jerks."
Okay. What?
But I think he's played the best game.
Okay. What about Sis?
Sis is like, what right now, Sis is really sleeping, and I don't know if she's gonna wake later in the game. She might wake later on. It was frustrating because I think Sis, I think Sis had some abilities to change some ties within the game too, and I think Sis and I had a strong a first few days bond, but knowing some of the things she said that were untrue about me, that was really it hurt me a lot, and certain things that you wouldn't be saying about somebody because that could ruin somebody's kind of whole reputation. And so I feel some sort of way about Sis, but I think she's attached herself so close to Jack, it's definitely hurt her, and she's kind of got blinded in that showman's fight. And the thing is, Sis is, from my understanding, she applied. She's a fan of the game, and so and she's, I think, hell bent on trying to get Nicole out for whatever reason right now.
Yeah,
I don't like Sis. Yeah, I don't like Sis very much. Sorry.
What about Holly?
I think Holly I don't know if right now, she was playing a very underrated game. I think she was playing a very underrated game that she had a strong potential to get pretty far in the game and make some strong moves. I think with this last HOH, certain lines are drawn. I think she's very closely associated with Mickey. The question is she able to throw Mickey away if she needs to and work with Kat, Christy, and other people? I don't know. And so I think Holly's biggest detriment is going to be Mickey potentially. So she could go far in the game if she can lose that anchor. But Mickey will always go in front of her. However, if they're putting on the block, Mickey and Holly are going together potentially, and Mickey has a chance to win the veto like he has before, and that means Holly might just go away. So she was playing a strong game. Right now, I don't know. I think we're going to have to see where the cards fall after this whole blow up.
Yeah, and one other person who's not in the 6, but 6 adjacent, at least in his mind. What about Nick?
I don't know how much was caught on the feet. Nick was somebody I was probably gunning from the beginning too.
Yeah.
Because I knew he wasn't about me. We had conversations at the beginning in that first week that I didn't appreciate whatsoever. He was trying to tell people, telling me how I should act and feel when this person only knew me for 3 to 4 days.
What was he saying?
I think he was under the impression that I wasn't being mean. I was trying to fit in with him and Jack, can't be one of the bros, because he only has the bro card to give out.
Yes.
But I was like, Nick, I have bros at home. It's not like I'm trying to fit in with you. I don't, I don't know what your deal is. Exactly. I think there was a lot of projection. I think him saying Ovi, are you feeling insecure? No, Nick, I'm not feeling insecure. I don't really feel insecure about myself. I think you might feel kind of insecure calling me. It's so me and Nick definitely didn't get off on the right foot in some ways like that. And then he was just, after one of the conversations, it wasn't a bad conversation, but he was just gunning for me. He just didn't like me at all. And he was, so, Nick is a smart guy. That's the issue. Nick is a really smart guy in the house. And I think, him and Bella, though I know they care about each other a lot, and I hope the best for them after the show. I think them coming together made him a straight target as well as her, and it clouded their eyes a little bit. And so him now scrambling to figure out a way, but he has a chance to figure something out. But I think he's a target on a lot of people's mind. But Nick could somehow slink his way down to the final 5. I wouldn't be so surprised about that, because if the 6 kind of want him, they kick Mickey out and bring Nick in instead or something like that. He has a chance. So he knows the game. He's smart, and he has competition prowess. He's won a veto. He's won an HOH. I think he's won 2 competitions at this point right now. So I would say Nick is one of the. Personally, I don't think Nick and I will ever see eye to eye, because I also think the conversations he had with Nicole and blowing that's just wrong. You don't ever accuse somebody of not having anxiety, things like that, and especially within his own profession. But to each their own. I think karma would find each person themselves. But I think within the game level, he can play a good game.
Have you had any contact with Bella since she's been out of the house?
No.
Or she's off the grid, basically.
Yeah. I think I've left each of the house guests to their own to kind of take some time. So, but no, Bella and I haven't really talked.
Okay.
It's probably a good move.
Yeah.
From Bella.
Well,
go off the grid.
Yeah, then tell everybody what you said.
Yeah, here's the thing is, outside of the house, I have my own feelings about people within the house. I wish everybody the best and hope they can learn from their mistakes and what decisions they made in the house. We're spending a month to 3 months in there. I hope it doesn't ruin anybody's life down the line. And because here's the thing, I knew these people for 30 days. It's not. I have great best friends back home, amazing family and network. So I'm fine. Like I have no worries about them.
Ovi, we have the voting open for the field trip. That we could send 3 people for the field trip. How do you think that if you could put your Big Brother mind to this challenge, how should the voters be approaching the field trip?
I think we should it should be 3 of the people in the 6. I think right now, I think the 6 is probably the most disliked, I think, outside within America. So I think 3 of those people will be going on that block. Mm-hmm. Because the casual vote is probably one of the more important votes. I mean, as much as even the RHAP community, all the communities put together, the people who just watch the show, the mom and pops on Facebook, they will be the ones voting and probably making the end decision. Yeah. We could influence probably one of them. I think Jack and Jackson are going up for sure. Mm-hmm. I think that's it. The third one, I think a lot of people kind of flip up, but I really think Christy is going to be the one because I think of the edit and everything else, I think Christy will be the third person. I know people have talked about trying to put Tommy up there, but I don't think Tommy has enough. The Big Brother community wants to put him up at enough, as well as the casual viewers. I don't think they dislike Tommy enough.
Now, Taran, I haven't had a chance to talk this through with you. I loved what you said on Twitter last night about how this was Melissa was right. They made this way too confusing. Is this a best case scenario in a twist in that it's so confusing to the voters and to the people in the house that there's almost no takeaway that anybody should have, and maybe that this will have no effect on anybody in the house and the game?
It might have no effect in terms of how they think they're viewed, but it could definitely, a third nominee could have an impact on the game. And what I worry about with this twist is that and I said this morning, when you go to the page, it's like, who do you want to send on a field trip? Which sounds kind of good. And then the first line is they can win safety. And then the second line is somebody gets a punishment. And then the third line is, and then also there's a third nominee. And I just worry that you see who do you want to send on a field trip and you click your favorite face and those people are going to get a lot of votes, especially since it's the top 3 vote getters who are not HOH and who are not evicted this week. So if Jack and Jackson are the top 2 vote getters by far, then Jack goes home this week and Jackson wins HOH next week.
But then there's a contingent of people like, oh, Cliff is so nice, I want to send him on a field trip.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, those small percentage of people that don't understand it are going to make a huge impact.
This is butterfly ballot all over again.
Yeah.
To Taran's point, it's really about the framing of it too. And I haven't seen it on the website at all, but if people look at that and think they're giving somebody a helpful thing, for sure, I could easily see Nicole or Cliff being put up there because people think this is going to be good for them. And so,
yeah.
So I think that you have to spread the votes out. You have to get as many percentage points on all of the 6 as possible, because that might actually make a difference. Because I don't think everyone is going to misunderstand and give a huge percentage to Cliff or Nicole. I would hope not, at least. Because if that's the case, then you're screwed anyway. But if it is just a small percentage, like a 3% goes to Nicole, and that puts her in the top 5, which puts her in the field trip, then we want to get a bunch of people with 3 to 4% to sort of counteract that.
I think that social media is going to be hot on the 6. I think it's going to be it's going to work out the way that Ovi is suggesting it should work out. I think so.
I hope so.
I just I don't think that there is an overwhelming favorite from the TV audience, and that the prize is not so exciting that anybody is going to feel overly compelled. And it's such a long amount of time that the live feed viewers and the people on social media have 9 days to vote for this thing. Where it was such an afterthought on the show last night. I can't imagine a huge majority of people from the TV viewers are out there on that field trip vote over and over again for the next 9 days.
I'm never taking anything for granted after Big Brother Canada 6.
Yeah, I think that where the TV vote is, really maximized is where it's like, all right, the thing that was on Thursday night and the voting closes on Friday. We're oh, who do you want to send the the care package to? Where it's 24 hours right after the episode. But here, it's so spread out. It's so diluted. I think that the only people who are, have the intensity to make sure that this happens are going to be the people that are on social media. To have a good hate into these people.
All right.
Good point.
Hate's a powerful drug, Taran.
It is, but I think love is also a powerful drug, and people love Nicole. So
yeah,
I don't know.
People love Nicole, but I don't know if there are too many Nicolemaniacs who are TV viewer only. Like, she doesn't like birds. She doesn't like birds, but
flamingos.
Yeah, I think that the internet's hate for the six, I think, will triumph here.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm remembering back to that MVP.
Yeah,
Big Brother
I think that was the short window. That was, and it was also like coming off of like you had a all-time popular house guest in Rachel Riley, and then who had a lot of popularity with the TV audience, and her sister. It was a confusing question, but she was just winning it week after week after week. Where this is the first time that we're having any sort of vote in this season. So I don't think that the Nicole fan base is knows the drill as much. So we'll see. All right, we have questions for Ovi, and let's. Yes,
I did have one more question for Ovi,
okay.
Because what happened week one, right? So when Sam won the veto, essentially the way that you went home was so unfortunate because it was essentially just because Christy decided she didn't want to backdoor Kemi anymore. And then Sam had the veto. He had already been planning to use it on Cliff. And so when Christy said to Cliff, I don't want you to use the veto, we'll just send home Kat. Cliff was like, but I wanted to use the veto. Who else can we put up? And they're like, I don't know. I don't really want to put up anybody else. And I was like, oh man, I guess I cannot. No, wait, I really want to use it on Cliff. And then they oh wait, well, how about Ovi? Can you just put up Ovi? Then I can use the veto on Cliff. And she was like, oh yeah, well, you can just do that. And just like that, your game is over. Like how annoying is that?
Super frustrating, because here's the thing is that, I always said I'm going to own up to my, any game moves I made in the house that would have been bad, good, whatever. I don't want to, look bad in retrospect. But I felt that Christy knew that I felt good about her at that moment, that hey, you're somebody I want to work with. And here's the thing. I know people gave me a lot of things about, you told the 8 alliance about an 8, and then you tried to make alliance with them. But from a game standpoint, if I feel good, I told them about this, and I want these 4 to be there, why would they want to put me up and get me out right now? Because they know that I feel good about these 4. So that gives an advantage of these 4 people over the other 4 people, right? So in my head, I'm already in there kind of with them. So they would know that from a game, I think of game strategy. People's moves are going to be based on the best move for them. And their best move in my head at that point was to keep me. So, and Sam knew that I liked him a lot. So in my head, I never thought that week 1, you'd be blindsided and put it in there. And that was frustrating because I had that power right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. I don't know if there was anything I did or said that would make them feel bad to put me up. They were like, we need to get Ovi. He is threatening us or whatnot. But from that week 1, and of course, as you can see, my reads might have not been the best on people in the beginning. But I feel like I didn't do anything game damaging for me to have them put me up over Kat. They knew that might not have their back at that point. Mickey would be the only person, I would assume, at that point, because she was, they were a thing week 1.
What about?
Yeah, it really wasn't targeted toward you. It was really just she was put in this complicated pretzel of I already gave my word to Kat, and I've already said I was going to backdoor Kemi, but now I don't want to do that anymore. And so I don't really know. And Sam really wants to use the veto. And what piece can I put in this place that solves everything, and it happened to be you, unfortunately.
And I think Nick pushed a lot for me. I think that's another thing. I think Nick didn't want Kemi to go home week 1, and I don't know if I don't think it was shown as much on the show. He pushed really hard, and I think he told one thing to Christy that are you going to keep playing Jack's game? And that made Christy very upset. And people at that moment felt that I was close with Jack. And so Christy didn't want to put up Jack, but I think one of the other things that made her feel good that this is taking a shot at Jack if I put Ovi up there too.
Nick was talking a lot about targeting you the following week because that you would be an easy target to take out. And I think that also probably got into Christy's head about like, well, if Ovi's an easy person to get out, then I can get him, because Christy just really didn't want to make any sort of big move. That first week.
It's tough, and it was Kimmy or I at that moment, and so it's frustrating that it was me, but then it was Kimmy falling. I wish that we could have figured something out, I know a lot of people are banging their heads like, why aren't you all working together? But it was that first week was tough in the sense that some people Kimmy was very tight in with Bella and Nick at that point. Nick wrote me off. So it was really, really hard for me to even work with them. I tried, but they were not having it.
Okay. Is there any more that you can explain about like that the episode that we saw around you and like hearing about the 8 and then approaching the 8? We don't have feeds for that, so we don't know the details.
I guess okay. So I am at that moment laying in my bed. Cliff is next to me. I think he's sleeping. He's not, and they're talking really loud. And so here's the thing: is that they don't say an 8 is forming or anything. They say the word 8. And so in my head, I'm thinking that I don't even know if an 8's formed. And they talk about we need to try to form an 8 or something in 8. So I'm thinking that I want to get these people together, these 4. So even if they weren't talking about actually making an 8 or anything, like I can use to maybe say like people are talking about making an 8. Let's use this as a catalyst to form a 5. That was my mindset. It wasn't to my head that I thought the 8 was already formed. Well, I thought maybe it's day 6 at this point. Some alliances had to be formed, So like I already knew this going ahead, and so we had some unspoken things in the first few days. Jack came to me and he's like, I want to work with a power duo with you, and then Mickey came like, we want to work a power trio. That was like day 2, and so that was off the feet, like that was off the show. And I think Collie wanted to be in that to start kind of like a 4 right there, and so and Sis came up with me to a final 2 in the first few days too. So we had all those kind of put together there. And so I was thinking, if Sis wants to do a final 2 with me, if Mickey and Jack already said they want to trio with me on that day 2, why don't I use this as a catalyst to move towards making a 5? And Christy's the HOH, so that should solidify that I'm safe this week. That was kind of my mindset. So a lot of people think I heard the 8 and ran right to them. It's like, hey, there's an 8 forming. In my head, I don't know if an 8's forming, but I want to use that potential thing as a catalyst to move towards making a 5. Again, the 8 was already formed, and so it wasn't the best move. But that was kind of my mindset at that point.
Okay, let's jump into some questions with Ovi. And this is a question from Ember, who says, Ovi, why didn't you tell Cliff about your power when you were leaving?
I did, actually. I did. It was the moment I left. If people saw, I put my power key on him, and I hugged him and whispered, hey, Cliff, I'm so I had the power. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't want to put a target on your back, and that's why I hope you can forgive me. And I told Nicole the same thing too. Because at that point, I didn't think it would help their game whatsoever for them to know that knowledge, in the sense that like he was on the block and Nicole felt bad. So if she told anybody else, people would think, let's target them already to get this power out. I figured that like, Mickey and Jack told me they didn't tell anybody else, but I'm figuring out the way Nick and other people are talking to me, like trying to pressure, like, hey, Ovi, you have power. I figured that it came out that I have the power, so I just have to keep playing up at that sense. But I knew that if Nicole and Cliff, and I kept telling, like, when Jack and Mickey asked Nicole and Cliff, I made sure that they don't know, because I didn't want to put an extra target on them. But I knew I was going to tell them before I left. That was kind of my chance.
How bummed out are you that we never got to see the nightmare power ending up coming to fruition?
I guess it's like my biggest regret, honestly. I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like, I was a big Survivor fan first, and that was like the first show I actually applied to. And so my biggest fear was that I would go home one day with an idol in my pocket. But I was like, that can't happen to Big Brother, because that doesn't happen. Lo and behold, that happened to me. And it's frustrating because it's such a strong power. Out of all the powers, I think it's one of the stronger powers there. And me not being able to use that power, I think it could have made something really fun in the game. I know fans would be a fan. We don't like seeing game-changing powers implemented, and we're kind of sometimes happy, like, they failed. Shows you, CBS. But it would have been cool to be able to use that power, especially if I could have saved myself. If I could have used it after nomination, boom, like, screw y'all try to put me up. I'm a target, but now I'm safe for 1 week, so it's frustrating. Or I could have I had thoughts that the day it expires, say if I have, like, win the HOH, I'd use the power on myself, try to make it like, oh man, I have to pick somebody, I pick you and you, so it doesn't make them, I had like all these plans with the power. But came to fruition. So it's tough. Yeah, it sucks.
Okay. It's a question from Tyler. Who do you think Jessica's going to put on the block today? If one comes down from the veto, who would Jessica put up as a replacement? Will Christy use her panic power? Do you have some advice for Jessica? Who should Jessica put on the block?
I think right now she needs to go. Here's the thing is, and I haven't kept up as much of it because I know she felt, or Jackson felt good with her in a sense. So I don't know how good she feels with him, but I would definitely put Jack up. And now between Jackson and Tommy, one of those other people, because if Jackson is a target right now, it might be almost smart to keep him around so they just keep trying to target him on one point. And put Tommy as somebody she won't put. I would think she should put up Christy, but I think she's never going to put up Christy right now, or even down the line. I think she feels that female empowerment she's talking about. I think she feels that resonating with her and Christy, for better or worse in that situation. Female empowerment's awesome, but in that sense, I don't know it's helping her game.
Yeah. But Taran, where do we stand right now?
Right now, Jess is continuing to talk about putting Jack and Jackson on the block. She's telling Christy that that's essentially what she wants to do right now. And Christy is telling her, well, yeah, I would want Jackson gone then, which of course they would. And Christy's promising not to use her power, but there's no reason for her not to if the veto is won by somebody that she trusts. And so I like I said this morning, I think this is a big mistake because if they leave Jackson on the block, that leaves it wide open for the 4 that remain of the 6 to just take Jackson out and neuter that side of the house. Or it even worse, it could potentially leave open a hole for somebody like Christy to take Jack down with the veto and then put Cliff up next to Jackson, and they would have the votes to take Cliff out. So they need to be very careful about all of that.
But I think she might put Jack and Sis from the last. I don't know if that's anything there because I knew she had certain words about Sis earlier. And I don't think that would be a bet. Something that I think is a combination of Christy, Tommy, Jack, or Sis is going to be most beneficial for Jessica's game at this point. I don't think Holly and Nikki are going to be going right at Jessica right now. But I could be wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, it's Jack and Sis would be the much smarter move in my opinion, but as of right now, it does look like it's more likely that it's Jack and Jackson. But she hasn't completed her talks yet, so we'll see.
Okay, let's take this question from Daddy Taran is back. Daddy Taran wants to say, Ovi, how do you feel about Sam? The only reason you went up is because Sam casually mentioned your name to Christy as a replacement knob.
Has Eddie Taran been around long?
He's new in Big Brother 21.
He's new? Okay, I wasn't sure. I felt like there was another Taran account I watched before. But how do I feel about Sam? Sam is somebody that grew on me. And here's the thing. On a face value, Sam treated me like nobody different when I was in Camp Comeback. And that's like such a low standard to be like, yeah, I like him because they didn't treat me any different than anybody else. But he really, out of a lot of houses, he wasn't rude to our faces at all. I think he said some disparaging comments behind closed doors, which, is really unfortunate. But it sucks that, like, in my head that he's kind of the reason that I went home in a lot of aspects when he really did. And I think he mentioned us as, like, outsiders as bottom feeders. But I mean, like, he is the one who raced to the bottom.
I'm on the bottom?
Yeah, he was a battle to the bottom, and there was no reason he should have tried to get me out because Kat was nowhere good for his. She's never going to help Sam out. Mm-hmm. I like Sam from the end. I made it very clear to him in the first week, but I think he had Nick in his head a lot too, and so Nick and his bond, and that really soured or made Sam like, okay, let's get it over. Yeah, because I have Nick, So it's super unfortunate. But how do I feel about Sam? Out of all the people, Sam's playing for his family. One of his children had, I want to say it's Bradley. They had surgeries in the first year, and he's been kind of in debt for that. So that's what I believe is pretty valid in the story and things like that. So knowing him talking about his family and that we bonded, I think he hopefully believed that I had a girlfriend. A lot of the people didn't, so we had conversations about that.
Right. That was so annoying.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I had in-depth conversations about like Hannah and other things, and like for them to think that I'm such a weirdo that I'd make up this fictional girlfriend to just
and why?
I don't know. And I make casual comment, and someone's like, "Yeah, have you ever done that?" Like, no, but Hannah's been there. And then they're probably like, "Yeah, fucking Hannah." Like, it's weird to me, and I think that's kind of the borderline obsession you see of these people in this house to like really tried to paint myself, Dave, Kim, and some others in this box that Ovi's a socially awkward, weird kid who could never get a girlfriend. Which is just, strange to me. Why would they do that? But back to the question, I like Sam. And I think game aside, it happened. I'm out of the house. I think Sam, his journey about life, what he talks about it, and you should ask him about, his opinions on police brutality, all of that, because he has really changed from before to now. And Sam's a very socially conscious guy. I think he'd be a fun conversation.
Will you reach out to Sam at all, or will you wait for him to reach out to you?
My kind of standard right now is let the house guests kind of delve into everything, because right now they want to be with their family, they want to be with people. But I imagine in a week or so, I'll probably try to reach out to him, because his family has reached out to me. His family is one of the few families I've actually talked to. They reached out to me a lot, and so that meant kind of a lot. Them reaching out and not just showing support for me, but for my family and girlfriend. That means a lot to me. Like, say what you want about me, that's cool. I don't mind, but I really hate when people try to say comments about my girlfriend and my family. And so people who show support, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. I want Hannah to just, when they get out of the house, just go up and greet them and be like, hi.
I would love that.
I'm Ovi's girlfriend.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, we have nothing to prove to these people that we've known for 30 days. And it's just, I don't know. If it helps them sleep better to think that I didn't have a girlfriend, then so be it. But it's just so funny in my head. It really is.
Jack too. I'm sure you saw. Sure you've seen this clip of like him, asking if you're going to go get swole, and then as you leave, he's just like douche. Just like,
it's so weird. And here's the thing I'll say to this: and a lot of people put these comments about they body shamed you, Ovi, and things like that, and it's not cool to body shame anybody. I'm super confident in how I look in my body, and this is I gained probably the most weight my senior year, but I competed, enrolling from high school to college on a collegiate level. I've done boxing, I've done this. I can do I'm a coach, part-time coach. So it's funny to me, and I think the biggest thing is not having insecurities of yourself, and people want to bring people down. They try to project their own insecurities, because I think fitness is this whole big thing, and for somebody who he does that, they cannot be athletic, for them to try to even work out. That's just weird, and it's sad. I think it speaks more to his character than anybody else's. And, Hannah told me something that made me feel really good. She's like, to some people you might have disappointed them as a player, but I can tell you didn't disappoint them as a person. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what I like to think. I think some people might not be disappointments as players, but they're disappointments as people.
Yeah, I seriously, I loved watching you just in the house, because I honestly feel like I don't get a chance to watch a person that I feel like I really like this guy as a person that often in the house, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I feel like you were one of the younger people in the house, but you were easily one of the most mature, and I feel like you have a great attitude, and I really love your stances on things, and so kudos to you. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And you were one of the better people inside and outside of the house. You did not even retweet any of the photos of Jackson side by side of Jackson with his shirt off when he first came into the house, and Jackson now with being not as swole. You didn't even send those out to your Twitter following, Ovi.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'll say people can say, but I at the same time, I don't think it's right to come at Jackson for that too. Because there's so many valid criticisms of Jackson, and so that doesn't need to be one of the criticisms. It's then you invalidate some of the other criticisms, like attacking somebody for something like that. Attack him on the things he said about the way he's acting against other house guests. But to each their own. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Ovi, I feel like maybe you did learn something though in the house, which is, do you think that you use too many eggs when you make cookies?
2 eggs. 2 eggs. I counted. I'm gonna be a little nerd right here. We get around 12 cartons of eggs. That's 144 eggs. All right, 2 eggs to feed the whole damn house of 144 cartons is almost 5% of the damn eggs. Okay, I use those 2 eggs to feed them. I use 3/4 sugar. I can't give the whole recipe, but I use very little of all these to not feed myself, to feed them. I even put the cookies in a Tupperware on the cabinet for Jack to have later. Like, I'm just gonna let it be. But it's just ridiculous.
In fairness, Jackson is counting how many eggs Jessica is having also.
Yeah.
And,
Keep track of everybody's eggs, Taran.
It's frustrating because like the kitchen was one place where you didn't feel welcome to like cook things. And like, here's the thing, I barely would cook. I would cook for myself, but I would try to cook for other people because, my mom's always thinks that when you see someone around, you feed them, like that's like, food is the way to my heart. And so it wasn't any game strategy. It wasn't that. It was just like, we're living together. I've lived with roommates, my fraternity brothers, like we feed one another because that's just like the way you operate.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know. And also we get such we get such a disposable amount of food, which, unfortunately some of it gets wasted by some of these house guests, but we get so much food.
Not
there's
Jackson.
really no reason to regulate. Yeah, there's no reason to regulate how much somebody eats. They want to eat it because Jackson eats 7,000 calories a day. So if
that's when he's a have-not.
Which is another thing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the game. It's a fan of the game. I would not break the have-not rules. You don't break the have-not rules. I mean, what? Well, it was Rudy, and I know right now. I think he's in the hospital. I believe. No, maybe it's not.
Jerry.
One of the old. Jerry, yeah, and Jerry was on swap for how many days, and he never complained. He was one of the oldest members there. So, if a 24-year-old guy who prides himself on his ability to withstand anything can't do that, it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I love that it's the eggs that finally got
Ovi.
a little heated.
It's like you try to survive. Like, here's the thing: it's like, get upset at me for this and that, but like when somebody's trying to provide for you and these damn cookies, where I know they like, and them trying to say it was bad, if you don't know my recipe, don't talk about my cookies like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much I'll get mad about, but it's frustrating. They love those cookies, but they're acting like, oh my god.
Ovi, I saw in the chat before. What's your go-to cookie recipe? You don't have to give us the recipe. Well, what's the go-to cookie that you make?
Chocolate chip cookies. I'll be dropping out the recipe soon for we're going to do a charity event, and so to raise some money, I'll be dropping that if we hit a certain amount of money. So I'm just letting y'all know that in the future. But I'll tell you the key to making any cookies is salt.
Salt.
Don't unsalt your cookies. And it's don't unsalt your cookies. If you add salt, it adds it to the next level.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. TJ Cliffy wants to know, do you have any advice on rushing or joining a fraternity or Greek organization on campus?
Yeah. Here's the thing I'll say. Greek life, is not for everybody in the sense that don't feel like you have to conform to an organization for you to make friends, all right? Join an organization, whether that's Greek life, whether that's student government, whether that's, Habitat for Humanity, that you feel a bond with those people. Certain Greek organizations, they might not hold the values that you hold, and find a place that respects you. We talk about hazing, which is not allowed in these Greek organizations, but make sure if these brothers or, if you're going into sorority, if they have any hazing, if they don't treat you don't haze somebody to show respect, all right? And that's one reason why we founded our own fraternity, Pi Kappa Phi.
Not what Jackson told me. You need hazing.
And it's sad that he perpetuates a stereotype of, fraternity men that has been going on and on. And that's not to say it's incorrect. There are a lot of fraternities out there that aren't doing a good job, but we create our fraternity that is inclusive. We have many, look at your fraternity's composite. Is there a lot of people of color? Or do you even have gay brothers in there? Like, you want to have those type of things to make sure that you have an environment that you feel safe. So I would say rush a fraternity or a sorority, see how you like it. But at the end of the day, if you don't feel respected in there, don't do it. You can find another way. I didn't start my fraternity until my junior year because I didn't find a fraternity that I felt that shared the same values. So I made my own. But find out your own way. The college doesn't make you make the college experience.
Okay. If the chat has some questions for Ovi, that if you want to get anything, and we have this golden opportunity here to talk to Ovi today. So if you have some questions in the chat, drop them on us. Ovi, what do you have going on the rest of the summer?
Rest of the summer. You know what? Right now, my summer is about to end in a few weeks. Probably want to start some work right now. And right now I'm working on a little project and I'll be putting out that soon. It's a children's book actually. And so something I was working on in the past. And so I'm trying to finish it up. And I've had a lot of people reach out for that. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, that's my big push to, I always wanted to make something that could influence kids to be better tomorrow. And so that's what I'm working towards. And I'm sending some applications for law and grad school right now. So that's kind of the plan right now.
Okay. All right. Taran, any more questions for Ovi?
Rachel in the chat wants to know, can Ovi talk about the emails he pre-sent to his girlfriend? So cute.
Oh, those emails. Yeah, so I didn't sleep the day before I left to travel over to the Big Brother house. And what I did instead was I stayed up on, because I wanted to, Hannah's an incredible girlfriend. I wanted to make sure she knew that, like, she wasn't alone while I was gone. So I made a separate email account, and I pre-recorded these videos for her and my parents too. And then I sent them all on a timer, because you can send on Gmail, at least you can put it on a timer. And so I tried to schedule it on the first premiere day and every day, week after that. So I had like 15 videos. She only had to see like 6 of them videos.
Did you have to turn them off? Or did you let them still go?
I turned them off yesterday because we got another one, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know your videos." And it's just little me like, "Hey, I hope I'm still in the house. Love you so much. If I'm out, like, this sucks." I'm like, and we're watching it, like I'm holding him, just like, and she just laughed. So we just like to laugh at it, but yeah.
Yeah. This is from Frappa in the chat. Wanted to know, has Ovi seen the leak yet? And I'm not talking about what Jackson did in the last HOH competition.
I did see, unfortunately, both that leak and then I saw both leaks. I saw both leaks, but I did see this recently. I didn't. Actually, I should preface. I kind of saw like a whole discussion on it, like recapping all of it. I didn't watch the thing for its full time, but on the Reddit they put something there, so I read that a little bit. So I kind of have an idea.
Yeah,
which was cool to see that whole leak.
Yeah, what was your reaction to the learning about that Cliff had been caught with the Cliff Notes?
Okay, you know what? To me, it was almost hilarious because, like, I'm thinking in my head, like, you got voted out already. You're still in the game, but you're kind of like ostracized. You try to make an alliance with people, and the way it gets found out is through Cliff being too loud. Like, to me, that's hilarious. But I was not, because here's the thing: is what are they going to do? They can't evict me again right now. So, but my worry at that point was, does this put a target now on Cliff/Nicole? And I think that also stamped to them, and Jack becoming trying to be a little more of a bully, more intimidating, thinking that how could Ovi try to talk game with these people, as well as Nicole and Cliff giving it time of day. That made them upset, And so I wasn't upset at Cliff. I just told him, let's just be a little more quieter in the future. But I was worried that this would hurt them more so than me.
Okay.
I love Cliff and Nicole. The Fellowship of the Zing, I might not be there, so we don't have all the fellowship. But like in a lot of times, if Taran, you're a Lord of the Rings fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. And so sometimes Frodo and Sam, they got to go on their own way, and the other people have to take a step back. And so right now is, I don't know what section, which movie or which book we'd be in right now, but I'm just taking. I want to see them back in September. I'm hoping they can make it all the way and throw their ring there into the fire.
Okay. Me too. The Nicole and Cliff final two is the one that we deserve.
Are you optimistic? Do you feel like is there a chance that we get that, Ovi? Even one of them going the distance?
I'm more optimistic after seeing how last night played off, in the sense that 6 is crumbling in certain ways. I think, and with Jessica winning this one too, I think they could play it under the radar. I think here's the thing: I think Nicole has a much better chance to keep going further, even though Sis has this obsession to get her out. With that being said, I think people are worried about Cliff because he can win some of these competitions. He's proven that. So, I mean, there's a chance they could slink through. It's still a very small chance with the 6, but if they keep breaking out, I could definitely see Nicole having other people go before she does, and her making it some way there. And then who knows, she might be able to win a few of those final competitions. And now that it's guaranteed that Jessica, Cliff, and some other people will be in the jury, maybe she can have those votes there, and those shooters might be too bitter to vote for the other people. So I could definitely see her making a distance and actually maybe like winning the thing.
Jessica Fisher wants to know, are you getting a lot of support and love from the fans on the street, Ovi? I'm sure. Are you talking about the real street or these BB streets?
These BB streets.
On the BB streets, on the interwebs, I've definitely gotten a lot of support, which I'm absolutely thankful for. And, it's been really cool. Like, my big goal was to represent Tennessee and Bangladeshi Americans there. And so my community back here, Knox and all of them, they've shown me so much love coming here when I've been going out. I mean, some parts have been a little creepier than others in the sense that people are coming up to me and wanting to take pictures because at the same time, like, why do you want to take a picture with me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, for me, it's weird, but at the same time, I have seen a lot of support, which I'm really thankful for.
So I know you're headed to Hearts of Reality next week. As a fan, who is there somebody that you're really dying to meet?
I have to go back on this. I believe Tyler's coming down there, so Tyler and I have been like talking a little bit, and we kind of have a little bromance I think going on in a sense.
Nice.
And so I'm really excited to see him. Big Brother alumni have been super nice to me and like coming back. I didn't expect them to be this supportive. I'm super excited for that, and I'm excited to see from Amazing Race Floyd. Like I was a big fan.
Team Fun.
And yeah, Team Fun. So I'm gonna
I've got a fun meter around here somewhere.
Yeah, they're awesome people and some other Survivor contestants. I'm really excited to meet them. So, but I gotta be honest.
Ovi, you said you were a big Survivor fan, which I didn't know about. Do you have a favorite Survivor season?
Favorite Survivor season.
Not to put you on the spot.
Now this is a tough one. Now here, I could have answered you this easily 3 years ago when I was close to it. I'll just say that. And after that whole incident, I decided kind of distance myself from Survivor a little bit. Game
changers. That after once the Zeke and Varner thing happened, you were out on Survivor.
No. It was. After Gen X and Millennials, I stopped kind of keeping as much. But like, I am huge fans of like, and people are gonna be like, oh my god, Obi, of course you are. But like, Joe and I love like Kelly Wentworth. Big fan of my favorite.
You would have really loved this last season, Ovi.
Yeah, it was. I like parts of it. It's cool. It is what it is. But my favorite season was I'm trying to remember. It was with Ozzy and Yule and
Cook Islands.
Cook Islands. Oh, so incredible when it was like Yule is trying to talk to was it David maybe or they're just going back and forth about like a chess match about should he vote him out or not? Like they were going. I can't remember that scene exactly, but it's just an incredible season. I love Yule. I think he is one of the best players to ever play the game, and I think Ozzy is just a beast, especially in the beginning. Once to see him, so those two that's probably my favorite season. Cook Islands.
Okay. All right.
We're mutual souls here. That's I'm totally with you. I feel like Cook Islands is underrated.
Super underrated. Like that's like great gameplay, great competition, and such good drama back and forth. Oh, I'm gonna go watch it again right after this.
Yeah. Okay.
Taran, if you want to watch party, just come over.
Let's do it.
The Cook Islands watch party. Got Penner in there.
Yeah, Penner. That was a conversation.
Yes.
Penner and Yule. It's like that Final Four thing. They're talking, and it's just like a chess match. And that's when I was like, I love reality TV.
Come over, man. Let's make some cookies.
I don't know if that'll work on Survivor, but I'll figure out a way.
Get faded. Okay. All right, Taran. Anything else for Ovi?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right.
Can I say one last quick thing?
Yeah, sure.
Like, so I don't want to like this. And you asked me like who was like my favorite star to me like reality at Hearts of Reality, but like this is gonna be me being my fanboy. Like Taran, I have been such a fan of yours for so absolutely long. You are like the coolest guy ever, and like I've read like Rob, love you too, but like like.
I get it.
And Melissa and Brent, they're super cool too. But I live by your updates. Even before I came on the show, I started work when I was doing my rows in high school. So I literally had the podcast on, put some like earphones. I'd row for 2 hours just listening to all your things. I'd play them all over. Like honestly, you were my inspiration for going on this show. And like you would be the awesomest person to play. But I think people would target because you're just so cool.
Taran, the coolest guy ever. Have you ever gotten that before?
Like I think Taran is like the awesomest guy. I don't put anybody on a pedestal, and I don't put any of the reality TV stuff. But like Taran is like my like person that like I've geeked upon. Even when I was on reality recasts with Taran Eric, I was like gushing about Taran today, and he's like, "Oh wait, Obi, you need to shut up for a little bit." But I just want to say like I'm super thankful for like this, and like this is like one of my dreams come true to be able to be like on a podcast with you. If you ever need anything in the future, I'm all here. But like I wish you
like
the best.
what? Like if Taran is moving.
Yeah, if you need someone to move your stuff, I'll move. If you want to go to dinner, that's cool. Like I'll ditch Hannah for a date or anything like that. on a date, I'll take you out to eat, take you to Waffle House.
Mm-hmm.
No, but seriously, like,
do you have any cookie recipes that involve plain yogurt? Can you do a yogurt cookie?
I can figure them out. We can figure something out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ovi. That it really means a lot, especially coming from you, because I have a lot of respect for you. So that really means a lot.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You've made this community super awesome. Like, you are like Taran. Like, the chat should like appreciate Taran so much. Like, and Rob, because Rob's here.
Yeah.
Like y'all, like, Taran is not just a robot. He is like the kindest thing ever. And Wally, has nothing on Taran.
Thank you.
Okay. There you go.
Sorry, I just wanted to get that
very
out.
moving. Thank you so much.
Coolest guy ever, Taran. That could be in your Twitter bio.
Yeah, this robot podcaster, coolest guy ever. There it is.
Yeah.
Really is, man.
All right. Let's talk about some other stuff that's going on. All right. Oh, check this out. Now, I've done a bad job of promoting this, but Brian Malloy has that's our t-shirt designer. He's got a brand new t-shirt at rhapstore.com. If you want to get any of our RHAP merch or shirts or anything, you can do that anytime. rhapstore.com. I always forget to give the link out. We have a new 50-year anniversary of the moon landing that Kat says it was a conspiracy, but Cliff says it happened. If you want to check out our NASA-inspired RHAP t-shirt, head on over to rhapstore.com to get your hands on this new design. Hopefully we can get one for Cliff after the season as he celebrates 50 years of the moon landing. Okay. Also coming up, exit interview. I talked to Sam this morning, and so we sent it out to your podcast feed. Go ahead and check out what Sam had to say on the final exit interview before we get to the finale. And then don't miss Taran and Puya this morning. How long did you guys go today, Taran, on the live feed update?
Just around an hour, I think.
Okay. All right.
It was a lot to get to, but it was so much that we had to sort of condense some of it.
I love Puya Friday. I love
yes.
Puya Friday. He does a great job every Friday.
Puya's great.
And then check out Taran.
Oh,
yes.
By the way, Puya wanted me to say hello to you, Ovi. He was a big fan as well.
I love Puya too. He's super cool, and like, you don't get to see many brown people like that, on like representing us. Puya has done that, so shouts to Puya.
Okay,
yes,
super cool Puya, not coolest guy ever though.
He's there's levels to it, and Taran's definitely there. And also, like,
Puya.
Rob, you're there. Don't forget, you're there. I have a lot of love for you too. I have a love for, and here's the thing: you are Kelly Hogg's favorite, I believe. That's what Cliff wanted me to tell.
Okay.
His daughter is the hugest fan of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Sunday morning update as well. Live feed updates. We're gonna check in with. Do you remember Scout from Vanuatu, Ovi? It was a long time ago. We're gonna T-Bird and I catch up. T-Bird, we tracked down all these survivors that time has forgotten. I don't even know what's up. T-Bird is texting me while we're doing this podcast, like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I can only imagine what she has up her sleeve. She does not stop with tracking down these survivors. Sunday, Brendan and Rachel are gonna be here. They're coming over. We're gonna barbecue. We're gonna watch the episode, and then Brendan and Rachel are gonna be here in the studio on a Sunday night. Really looking forward to this one. We should get to see everything that was happening in the house on Thursday and everything from Jess's HOH. Should be a jam-packed Sunday night episode. Looking forward to that. Of course, all this is made possible by the patrons of Rob Has a Podcast. Find out more about everything we're doing. I got Facebook Friday coming up tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific in our patron-only podcast feed. Get everything you need to know over at robhasawebsite.com/patron. And Ovi, thank you so much for making some time for us on a Friday afternoon for some special coverage.
No, thanks for having me. This was absolutely a blast. Super fan of y'all. Also, and shout out to Aman. I think Aman.
Yeah.
Aman, I really liked his stuff too in the past, so I never got to talk to him about that, but like, y'all been super cool, and this will be honestly one of the dreams was to go on Big Brother, and this was the second dream. So I'm geeking out. I'm gonna be happy all weekend now. So I appreciate your having me.
Okay. Ovi, such a great guy. So nice to have you here. Thank you. Thank you for talking about everything from your game and also talking about all the issues that have been going on during Big Brother 21. It's so nice to be able to talk to somebody who was actually there about these things rather than just us speculating on what's actually going on in the house. So it's very nice to be able to get your take on everything, and I feel like you do everything in such a really measured fashion that it's very nice to have this conversation with you.
I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking to y'all. Thanks for letting me get my feelings out on everything from cookies to the issues in the house and out to it. So
okay,
I had a blast.
Follow at the Ovi Kabir on Twitter. Okay, Taran, what's next for you? A nap?
I don't know what's next. Going to a concert tonight.
You are? What concert?
Yeah.
Do you not want to say so people don't harass you?
A little bit.
Okay, don't say. Okay. Yeah, the people that people harass Taran in the chat, Ovi. That he can't even leave his house without.
I've been one of those people before too. I've used a different bame, but I've definitely been like ah.
Yeah. I've never once been harassed in the chat. That's my dream to one day be harassed in the chat.
You're the one who runs the show, Rob. You keep it on lock. You're the one with the plan on it. So
yeah. So
people appreciate you. I appreciate you too.
Thank you, Ovi.
I'll make you cookies. Okay, you will be the one of the first to get my recipes.
Okay. All right.
There you go. I will, of course, also be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 21 live feeds.
Okay. It's not a Hoodie Allen concert, is it?
It could be. He just released his new single last night. Very good.
Okay.
It's got a Linkin Park reference in it. I thought that was cool.
Okay. Check it out. All right. Thanks so much, Scott St. Pierre, behind the scenes. And be on the lookout for much more Zaddy calendar reveal coming up next week. Take care, everybody. Have a good